the idea that only entrepreneurs are ultra competent is just, can I curse?
Yeah.
Bullshit. It's just bullshit.
What's going on, guys? My name is Awais Raza, and welcome back to another episode of Crushing It, a podcast dedicated to inspiring young individuals to pursue their passion by showcasing other individuals who are doing exactly that. Again, I'm your host, Awais Raza, and before I get into today's guest, I want to give a huge shout out to this season's sponsor, the Herb Keller Center for Entrepreneurship here on campus. They are the starting point and launch pad for everything related to startups. So whether you need founder resources, are looking for pitch practice with mentors and investors, or you just need some funding for your business, they are the place to go. So make sure you check them out in the link in the description below. And if you can't find a way to connect with them, leave a comment and I'll do that for you. I also want to thank our other sponsors, the Blackstone Launchpad, a cross-curricular hub for entrepreneurship here on campus, as well as ATI, a deep tech incubator that services early-stage companies at UT Austin.
Podcaster interviewing a podcaster.
Exactly, one of the first.
Yeah.
So when I first met you, it was at the startup crawl it was like at Capital Factory, yeah. Right? I was a little freshman, walking through the startup crawl, and I came across your booth, and it was not a startup, it was a podcast, and I talked to you about it. Tried to get you on as a client for
really?
My agency, and then the one thing that stuck out to me was that like you're Pakistani, obviously, yeah. Right? And I was like, Moby. I've never heard that name in my life. So how did that originate, and where did it come from? How'd you come up with it?
Sure. So my real name is Moby Hayat. No one calls me Mubaraz. Not even my parents, who gave me that name. I'm like, what? They call me something else. My friends in school back home called me something else. Mm-hmm. And here, when I was starting the podcast, I knew that I wanted to introduce myself to people and be known. Mm-hmm. That Mubaraz wasn't gonna cut it. Mm-hmm. And so I actually asked a mentor, the first interviewee on my podcast, the person who designed Austin's airport, about what I should do.
Oh wait, Larry Speck.
Larry Speck, exactly, a great dude. And
he's my teacher right now.
Really? Yeah. Have you seen him in the gym walking around with his book?
No, I haven't.
He does that. Yeah.
But he's one of the most enthusiastic professors that I've seen.
He's a great dude, man.
Yeah, he doesn't hesitate to hit people on the head and stuff.
Oh really?
Yeah. I'm afraid someone's gonna file something one day or the next on him. But
I forgot that. I fell asleep in his class once.
Really? Yeah, I sit right on the edge, and so I'm really scared that when he walks by, he gets really passionate and he'll get in your face, and the whole class is staring at you. I'm whenever he walks by, I just look straight ahead.
I like it. I like it. Yeah.
But yeah, so you were saying that the first interviewee, what did he say?
Yeah. So I said, hey, I'm thinking about this. Is this going to be not? This is not going to be honest. Am I trying to be someone else? And he said, no. I mean, if this works for you, just say it. And then I became Moby, and that's.
Well, but did you just come up with Moby as a short version of your name, or? I
was called Moby back home by my school friends, and so Moby was just an easier way for Americans to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easier than Moby.
Okay, and you came here in 2010.
2010, right? Yes, okay. For UT.
Okay.
And I've been in Austin ever since. It'll be a decade in 8 months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and what did you did you have a job here, or did you started at UT and then after that you got a job at DELL?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So do you want to talk a little bit about your journey? Sure.
So I came in January 2010, and it was honestly a fluke, which was my dad wanted me to be a doctor.
Yeah.
Because he's an overachiever. Before the MCAT back home, I said I'm not going to do it. Blah 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 blah. And I decided that the U.S. that's something that people are doing. I picked my major because it sounded familiar. Economics. My friends were doing it, so a lot of planning obviously went into me moving to another country, and I came here, and it was the first 2-3 years were absolute hell because I had no idea what I was doing in my life, with my career, with my choices, what I was going to do afterwards. Did I want to stay here? What I was going to do with anything. But things just worked, and I can go into more detail later. But once I actually finagled my way into an internship at DELL, and after I graduated, they hired me on as an engineer, even though I'm an economics major.
Wait, and did you have a language barrier when you got here?
A little bit, I'd say. A little bit for sure. I was just not used to speaking English all the time.
And what challenges did you face in college? Because I know there was a series of things that you talked about.
Yeah, I even sent you a long, sad email at 2 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I don't want to get into specifics. Yeah, I want you to kind of talk about it, and then I'll like go into like
for sure.
details.
For sure. Let's break down my horrible life. The language barriers weren't that much. I was extremely self-conscious about how I sound, and I would just randomly say Urdu words in the middle of English sentences.
I still do that.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that just tripped me up a lot, and I didn't have a lot of confidence with just speaking one-on-one in English a lot, but also the public speaking thing was horrendous. I was so scared, so scared. And like speaking English was terrifying as well on stage. And that was one of the biggest fears, I think, that highlighted my college career. But,
and were there any like specific situations where like you just completely like destroyed like the aspect of public speaking? Like what was it, like PSA you mentioned?
PSA, the first time I gave a speech to be VP of PSA, my friend took me outside for an hour, and word for word I memorized a speech. Like I just memorized it, and I got out. I remember before they were calling my name, this huge ball of anxiety just coming up. And when they called me, I just went on stage and just like blurted out like, and that worked somehow. And I did it again for another event, and then I still said no to a bunch of things. I knew that I wanted to work on public speaking, but I said no to talking on stage at a big event with 250 people. I would say no to being like the leader in many cases. Like I would tell my VP, hey, why don't you do it? You're so much better at this. And so it really cost me. But eventually over the next 3-4 years, I was able to get over it. And now I love being on stage.
Well, the biggest thing I found in like your entire story was like, you know how you said you blurted out, right? After that you kept doing it, but there's still like something that changes in your mind that builds up that confidence. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because everyone struggles with like, you know, having confidence. Like that's like a huge problem. And everyone says fake it till you make it, but I know there's something else that goes on, right? Like you have to kind of be secure in your own like self, right? So what did you like think about?
So the first part was just base competence. Being able to say, I can do this, which is not just a lot of confidence, but if you're taking the example of public speaking, saying that if someone asks me to speak in front of 30 people, not 300, but I can do that. And I've done that a few times. So the foundation of any kind of skill is a base level of confidence. After that, you have to realize that if you screw up on stage, that if you don't say the right things, there are almost no consequences. People might think you're not a great public speaker, but it doesn't really matter what happens. I've been on stage and have improv the hell out of it. I've been on stage and made jokes and completely bombed at my own events. You were probably there to watch a few of them. It happens all the time, but over time through improv comedy, I realized there's no shame in being bad at something. At being bad at live video, making content, public speaking. Shame is when you don't do something when you're afraid. So when you actually are afraid, that's the best. That's when you go after it again and again. And honestly, at this point, I am fairly comfortable. I'm extremely comfortable on stage because I realize that even if I screw up, unless my pants fall down or I shit myself, it really doesn't matter. You know, I'm glad that's on camera. It's great.
Wait, but do you think that like comedy and like public speaking then go hand in hand? Because I feel like especially recently, like a lot of talk show hosts and stuff that I see that are like really good at what they do, right? Including yourself. A lot of it is like trying to warm up to the audience, and the best way to warm up to the audience is kind of like getting your point across, but having some sort of comedy in the middle. Yeah. So do you think that that's kind of like intertwined, or is it just straight public speaking that you've been working on?
It definitely intertwined. I took about 6 to 7 months of improv training.
Oh, okay.
And so
that explains it. I would always I've been to one of your events at the Galvanize thing, and I was like, there's no way like I could do this and just pull it off by just standing there and like making jokes. Like I feel like the humor that I have wouldn't like relate to the audience, but I feel like that's what everyone goes through until they kind of understand that everyone gets these jokes.
Exactly. And so in improv, there's this great concept, which is I failed. So whenever someone stumbles during improv comedy, the person's like, and you're trained to say, take a bow and say, I failed. And everyone starts clapping. and they condition you not to give a shit about failing. And I really think that helps because in the comedy aspect, right? You make jokes or try to be funny or try to be yourself or have your sense of humor put out in the world. Many times it's going to fail. And you have to be okay with that. I mean, I can't do stand-up. Don't get me wrong. I can't do stand-up. But I know that if I say something on stage and I don't get the result that I want, it's absolutely okay. I can move on and try again.
Yeah, see, I need to get to that because if it were me in your shoes and like I said something stupid and like everyone was just dead silent, I'd be like, all right then. Thank you guys for coming.
No, dude, I've done that too. I've been on stage and I have said, when I was president of PSA, I was asked to speak as the president at a political organization. 250 people for PTI, which is a party in Pakistan, and their secretary was there, which is a big deal. And I was supposed to be the student leader. And so I was terrified. And the last moment when they said my stage, I was pumped. I was like, I'm going to do it. Doesn't matter. I'm just going to do it. I almost run on stage, right? I run on stage and I get in front of this podium. I see 300 people, 250 people. I want money from them for the organization, so I have to make a good impression. Yeah. And I have my speech in front of me, and I've also memorized it because I'm so scared. And I'm like, yes, we're going to do this, the youth, hope, etc. And 50% in the speech, someone says, who's not that far away? We can't hear you. You're too far from the mic. And that just corrodes my confidence completely. And I'm like, again, that's how I end the speech. Just completely like... Pfft.
Wait, so you didn't finish the rest of it?
I did, but since they couldn't hear the first part of it, I didn't repeat it. And the last part of it, with all the room could actually hear, I did it pretty badly.
Damn.
So it happens.
Yeah. So how did this all lead to like the fire show then? Because you kind of built up your confidence by doing this stuff over time, but then what kind of in your head, what changed and you said, okay, I'm going to do this podcasting? Was it for like a network or what was it?
So I'll just try. It started the first thing was in 2012 when I wanted to start a website to help high school students with their college essays, because I helped a bunch of people and they all got in, so I thought I could help them. UT told me that I couldn't do it. I couldn't start a business because I was on a visa.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, well, I'm going to do it for free. So I made the website, taught myself how to code a little bit, made the website, made all the content. And then that was the first project. I interviewed people back home in Pakistan because I thought I would move there after college. Decided not to. And in 2016, most of my life is mistakes, which turn out really well. In 2016, I said I'm going to start a business. So January, I told myself, this is the year. I'm on the H-1B visa. I'm not on a student visa. There's got to be a way that I can have a business. So I bought a table at the startup crawl, my first table, 8 months later. And I said, whatever happens, I'm going to be public with the world. And I started doing this research. And I was working at DELL. I was getting trained to be like a corporate dude, right? And I wanted to distill that corporate confidence, presentation skills, data analysis, core skills that make you really good in the corporate world to students. I did a bunch of market research, but then I talked to lawyers and they said, nope, you can't do it. You can't make money off of this. Good luck. And I'm 3 months away from my big launch of a product and I can't have a business. So I said, I have heard what a podcast is. I know Tim Ferriss. I'm going to start one because that's the only thing I can do, content. Because I'd made a website, I'd interviewed people and just transcribed them. Why can't I do a podcast? And it was just being stupid and saying I'm going to do it. Because that was the only thing I could actually do.
And now you're how many episodes in?
So the first one was 29 episodes, and now I think I'm at 42 episodes for this one.
And I watched your last episode for the Austin Fire Show, but what made you change it from Austin Fire Show to just the Fire Show?
It wasn't the right kind of leverage that I wanted. I started the show because that's the only thing I could do. But when I started a business, I would know the investors, the startup incubators, CEOs in Austin, so that when I wanted to do something, I could just be like, give me money. Somebody give me money. You've known me for 2 years. And that worked really well for the Austin Fire Show. But I decided that if I wanted to branch out of Austin, just focusing on that and making content just in Austin and serving that market wouldn't serve me, because I would meet people at South by Southwest and they would say, hey, what's the Austin Fire Show? Well, I would say it's a podcast about entrepreneurship for Austin. And they wouldn't care because it's for Austin and it's not for them. Mm-hmm. So I switched it from the Austin Fire Show to the Fire Show and just recreated the brand.
And no, go ahead.
Fire without the Y, though.
Fire without the Y.
Fire Festival.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the improv jokes you were talking about.
Okay, yeah. See, everyone's laughing. It's so great.
Wait, so did Tim Ferriss inspire you to like start your podcast, or did you just like kind of see him doing it and you were like, I want to do this?
I listened to 2-3 of his episodes, his start ones, and I was like, I can do it, because I heard his first episode, and it was so bad. It was so bad because he got drunk in the middle of the...
How long was it?
It was an hour. The quality was crap. He got drunk. He couldn't really ask questions. So I was like, if he can build it and he can be so successful, why can't I do it? Yeah. And so it was definitely inspired by him, but also by knowing that, look at this huge dude who's like a god in the marketing world. He started off sucking at it too. So why can't I do it? So it was just me being stubborn.
They all know this is coming, but I actually just met Tim Ferriss
Really?
Yeah, like a week and a half ago.
Nice.
But I messed up so hard. So
what'd you do?
So this is the story. Like this is random. Okay,
Yeah.
During spring break, I never run around Lady Bird Lake.
Yeah.
I usually just go to the gym, run on the treadmill or something. But something got in me, like nature, like I need that. And so I like started running around, and like it was like a 7-mile track, and like I didn't know how long I could keep this up. So I did it for like 3 days. And then after that, I was like, okay, the 4th day I went out, and there's like a bridge at Lady Bird Lake, right? Like you run all the way up. It's like 3 miles in. And so I'm running across the bridge, and like there's a little turn and a ramp that like goes down, right? And then like it goes down, and then you're back on the track. So I'm going down this ramp, and I see this guy with like a sweater like tied to his waist walking up with another old dude, and then I like run past him, and then I just stop in my tracks, and I'm like,
oh.
I'm like, wait, who is that? Like I know him from somewhere. And so then I turn around like any stalker would, and like I like walk up slowly behind him, and like you know when someone's walking up behind you.
Yeah, and
like,
he turned
like, he was talking to the guy, and slowly he just like turns around like, who's this creepy kid like following me? And I was like, wait, are you Tim Ferriss? And he's like, yes, I am. And then like he's just like, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Like I completely ignore the other guy, and he's like introducing me to him. And I this whole time I wanted to like intern for Tim Ferriss, right? Like naturally any podcaster would want to. And I've been searching for his email for like ages, because he's like the god of like cold emailing, right? So he's covered his tracks pretty well. And then this was like God saying like, you don't need his email, like he's right here. And all I do is like tell him, oh my God, I love your show so much, can I have a picture? And then I run down the ramp, and like I like stalk him across the bridge, and then I call my friend on the phone, and I tell him like I'm stalking for 20 minutes while talking on the phone. I'm like, dude, I just met Tim Ferriss. It's the biggest opportunity of my life. And he's like, dude, run back and like find him and ask him. You'll never get this chance again. And so then I run back, and like while all of this was happening, my mind is in shock. So the green and the gray he was wearing like combined to make blue. So I had been stalking a guy with a blue shirt the whole time. And so for 40 minutes I run around the track like trying to find him. Yeah. And that was a good workout.
It was a good workout.
Yeah,
exactly. That's fantastic, dude.
Yeah, dude. It was like, find it. And then it was like it was the biggest lesson I've learned based on like just like taking a shot and like going after opportunities and whatnot.
It happens, dude. And I'm glad you thought you were stalking.
Don't try to make this a positive. This is not a positive.
Okay. Stalker. Great. Okay, fine.
Okay, let's talk about. I just watched your Power of Content video.
Yes.
How do you think of Instagram entrepreneurs? Just be brutally honest.
I will be. Yes. So it wasn't specifically for Instagram entrepreneurs. It was the message that a lot of influencers in the entrepreneurship space, what they convey, especially on Instagram, is that you have this idea and you're working for it, and that you're special, you're different because you're wired in a way that no one else is, and that your mind works differently because you're an entrepreneur and you want to work on an idea. And I can see what they're referring to, which is it takes a level, as someone commented like very harshly on my video, it takes a certain level of self-delusion and narcissism and like stubbornness to actually go after what you want. But it doesn't make you that special. It doesn't make you that special that you're building something. I want to be an entrepreneur, right? I've used the hashtag startup under my posts. but it doesn't make me better than somebody because
Until you succeeded, right?
Sure, yeah. But doing other things is hard too. Entrepreneurship is extremely hard, but doing other things really well and on a committed level is extremely hard. And I don't think we should just make other people them because they're not entrepreneurs. We shouldn't make them others because they're not entrepreneurs. I think it leads to a level of self-importance that could really hurt you.
Yeah. No, I heard Hassan say the same thing yesterday, and he was like, it was more of like, people don't recognize, he was more of coming from the angle of opportunity, right? Like, we have the opportunity and the chance to work on startups. Like, you have the ability to do that without, like, you know, not being able to put food on the, like, being able to put food on the table and doing all of those things. Yeah. And then you can do something on the side. But there are people working equally hard just to put food on the table, but no one's paying attention to them, even though they're working super hard. So it's like, we just have to recognize that they're hard work, but like in just different avenues.
Exactly. I mean, yes. And the idea that only entrepreneurs are ultra competent is just, can I curse?
Yeah.
Bullshit. It's just bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And I haven't directly met people who really, really believe that, but I've seen people who convey that in their Instagram and everything. And I'm like,
well, do you think it's more of what you take away from that versus like what they're putting out, or do you think it's the other way around? Like, they're putting this energy out of like, oh, we're like elitists, we're better than everyone, or is it more of everyone else is like looking at them and thinking that, oh, I'm not doing anything, and so that's like that's the mass perspective that's taken away.
Well, recently I did actually watch a whole webinar in which this guy talked about that, which entrepreneurs are the most important people in the world. And I do respect, I get it, but I'm still going to say, if someone says that to me, I would say that's bullshit. You have every right to believe that as whoever you are. But I'm just going to say, cool, but no. Even though I want to be one of those people. And so in maybe 10 years, you'll catch me saying, like, entrepreneurs are the best, and you can find this video and say, you liar.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at your Instagram page and be like, wow, he's such a narcissist. Oh my God.
Definitely, that's true.
Okay, well, let's talk about funnel hacking live. I want to know if you can like share some of the gems that you learned
100%.
From that with the rest of us.
Sure. So I went there with this idea of, I've been podcasting for a while. I want to do video. I've done events, masterminds. I eventually want to do what information marketer would do. Write a book, host a group, teach people, have live conferences that people pay for. So I went there with that perspective. And it was amazing. It was 5 days, super immersive. It's like a cult. It's great. I loved it. 4,000 people. They had music between every speech. The MC was super pumped. He was amazing. They were super friendly. And what I loved from that was the energy was fantastic. I networked like crazy. But the most important part was I learned a few tactics that I could use as a small-time content creator or a local podcaster to start making money. So, for example, I like this phrase, why can't I do it? So why can't I, based on what they told me, have a 21-day content challenge? It's fairly hard, not easy to make a challenge. I'll tell you in a bit. Why can't I have a course? Why can't I do a virtual summit? So walk through how to do all of those things. Do you want to know?
I want to. Yeah.
So the challenge, there's an Instagram video which I made like a minute. And so pick a challenge, pick the result that you want people to go to after XYZ days. Make it 14 to, 2 to 5 weeks. And don't make it super, super unrealistic, which is lose 25 pounds in 30 days. Don't do that. Pick something realistic that people want to learn. If you're good at something, if you've been doing something, you can teach people that. Make a challenge around that. Make it $39 to $97 because people do things when they have skin in the game. And at the end of it, sell your bigger ticket market item if you have one. So they came in for $49. They go through the challenge, and this is depending on what you do. You actually make it valuable. You walk them through the steps of doing whatever it is you want to teach. And then if you've given them value and they trust you, you sell them on something bigger.
So it's like kind of like that classic, like you're positioning yourself as an authority in that market because they're trusting you. Yeah. They put their foot in the door with like $30, and then like after that, they're more willing to like go and purchase like your bigger ticket item because they know that you're a trustable person.
Yeah. And And they want that result that you can give them, right? Because, sure, if you put yourself as authority and you can't deliver, in a while, people find out. People can sniff that out.
Yeah.
So long term, it can be very salesy, but I think it's okay.
Okay. Well,
I'm into that stuff.
well, there's like I wanted to switch gears and talk about like there's a debate going on in like Silicon Valley Twitter, right? And I tweeted about this like I think 2 days ago. I talked about it with Hassan as well. And there's a debate that people are talking about whether you need to live a balanced life or you should go all in because you're young right now. Now, I completely believe the latter because I don't think that if you like I've said this before, and I think that if you have chaotic ambitions, like you want to do something that's going to change the face of the earth and like the way everyone works and stuff, then you can't be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and like, get a massage at like 5 p.m. today and like, like completely balanced out. Like you can't have that. You need to be all in on one end and like have to sacrifice a bunch of other things. So I just wanted to hear your opinion on that because everyone has different like takes on it.
So I can't make money, right? So all I'm doing right now is building content, building my brand, creating new opportunities for myself so that one day I can turn it on because of the green card situation. I work my ass off and I am obsessed. I think it's good I think you should go all in, but you shouldn't also burn yourself out. It's a very hard balance because if you believe, just like you do and I do, which is, this is the time. Screw it. I'm going to do it. Taking care of yourself as you get older, because I'm older. You have to do that in order to be effective throughout. Because I can work really hard for 2 weeks, but what if I burn myself out for the next week after that? So I think you shouldn't just relax because you're like, I can take care of myself, blah, blah, blah. I think you should go as hard as you can, but realize that you have to like work on the engine and make sure that you are okay every single day to do it. Even though sometimes it's hard to go through things when it's hard, and sometimes it's hard to keep going. It is. And you have to force yourself. And it's not specifically healthy, but you still do it. And I think there's good in that.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I say is because I feel like as you get older, your responsibilities, they stack up, right? Like things just get, like, not worse. I'm saying like they just get harder and harder to manage. And by the time you get older, you want to have spent that time, that 3 or 4 years, and built something out so incredible that it can sustain everything that you're doing and create more time so you can balance your responsibilities easier, right? Like balancing things as a 27-year-old guy who's like married and has like a family and is waiting for his other kid, like, coming, like all of those things happening and having like 300, 400K in the bank is a lot better than having like, a struggling person. So.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I totally agree. 2 of my friends give me shit about this all the time, which is stop doing so much. And I'm like, it's hurting you. I'm like, it is, but I can't stop. So it's true. Yeah. Also, I like your 27-year-old. You're married and have kids. You're definitely busy. You're definitely busy.
No, actually, that's a good point you bring up because like my mom, like she's always like had this perception that my brother and I will get married by like 25, and now I'm thinking about it and I look at it in like the American like perspective and I'm like, holy shit, like 30 is like, the prime time to get married. Oh yeah. So I don't know, I'll get back to you in a few years.
That's a like 2-hour conversation. We can talk about it sometime.
So let me ask you something. You have like a lot of limitations on like what you're doing, right? Yeah. And everybody has a passion. You have a passion for creating content. Ideally, you get your green card, everything works out for you. What goes on in your miracle world, and like what could you build to like create that impact that you ideally want?
Yeah. So are you asking me what's my ideal situation and what I'm doing right now to get there?
No. I'm asking like if everything works out, like you get your green card, you turn everything on, what can you do in the future in the next few years that you'll look back to and be like, okay, yes, I made the impact that I was looking for. Like for example, Hassan's impact was that he wanted to just create opportunities for people, right? Like he realized that talent versus opportunity was very like, it was an imbalanced skill. Like most people didn't get those opportunities. So his goal in life is to create those opportunities for people that are disadvantaged. Yeah. So in order to do that, he was going to like, accumulate as much as money as he can and like take out like profits from his like software like consulting company and like give that to like people and create like charities and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, do you have like, I'm not saying like do the same exact thing, but like based on like what you're like based on your like passions, like what could happen that like you can make whatever you want happen?
In the perfect world, So I'll give you an example. I know someone who used to work at Dell, and she worked there for 12 years, and she quit 6 months ago, and now she wants to be a coach for women leadership because she got really up high there. And she hits me up sometimes saying, "What should I do? I want to do this, but there's no career path for it." And I say, "Well, have you tried making content, selling something, etc.?" I want to do that, which is helping people make their passions into a full-time thing through content. And I want to scale that to, I don't have a specific number to it, honestly. But if I know that I have helped a bunch of people build a life that they want, leveraging their strengths, content, and the opportunities in front of them, that's what I want to do. And that could be through my own events, courses, books, speaking, when I want to help. I don't know, but I know that that's what I want to do, because if I'm in the US, it doesn't make any sense for me to be working a corporate job when I'm 35 unless I super, super love it. And if I can help people build a life around what they love to do, that would be amazing.
And what drives you to like help people? Because I forget to ask. Like, everybody wants to like help people, right? Like, but what is it inside you that like makes you want to help that person or help that crowd that's like struggling? Like, is it just like that gratitude that you get in return, or is it because you went through something and you know that like, how it feels to not be where you want to be?
It's probably selfish, which is I've been there and I will probably be there for a long time, which is trying to turn what I love doing it to also figuring it out and turning that into something that this is my life, and having the freedom to say, the things that are important to me, I have an income source based on what I love. I have this family, I have these interests, and I can balance them out because I have a strong financial core around what I want to do with my life, with my 60, 70, 80 years of my life. I think that's super important. That's why I want to stay in the US, and I don't see any other reason of, if I can help other people, why not?
Okay. And so I always ask
I do want to make money, though, don't get me wrong. I'm not that great of a person.
No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with making money. You're trying to like create a livelihood for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's a different conversation of the negative connotation people have of like just making money. But I always ask people about like what good advice they have, right? But I always fail to ask like what the dumbest advice they got throughout their journey is. So do you have any like pieces of advice you got that like have absolutely been proven wrong, and like probably the worst advice you heard?
So there wasn't a specific, I know I should have been thinking about this. There wasn't a specific advice, but I remember when I tried new things, some of the people I know said, "That's stupid, don't do it." When I was an economics major, and I said, very stupidly, in my second last year of college, in like my third last semester of college, I'm going to do a major in computer science in 1.5 years. And I was stubborn. I was like, I'll take summer, I'll take 5 semesters, I'll just go through it. A lot of people said that's stupid, and it was. When I started the podcast, people said, a lot of my friends who cared about me said that's stupid, because they thought that, they believed it, and that's okay. But because of that computer science major that I actually just dropped afterwards, realizing this is not what I want to do, and also I can't finish this in 4 semesters, that got me the job at Dell. That's why I'm still in the US. Starting the podcast is what made me want to stay in the US. So the worst advice isn't necessarily one advice. It's there's no such, I don't think there's things as haters. I think that's stupid. Saying you have haters is really stupid. No one really cares about you that much. Calm down. So, but I think the wall of criticism that is natural when you try something new. It's really easy to get sucked into that and believe that. And sometimes you've got to be stupid and courageous enough to say, I'm still going to do it. Because they're two sides of the same coin. Being stupid and having courage.
I think that rings true, because especially the haters part, like I've read so much, like can you like, whenever you like think about like haters or like, people who are like criticizing your stuff, right? I think it's more in your head, and it is very selfish, because if you think about it, someone is taking time out of their day, mental space in their head to hate on what you're doing, right? Yeah. And I mean, I won't say there aren't any haters at all, but I will say there are very few people who have enough time to like sit there and like comment and like talk about all your stuff. And if they are, you're getting more publicity, and if they are talking about it in a critical way, it often reflects on them more than it reflects on your actual work.
So I had So I had someone comment very recently, actually yesterday, on one of my videos, the one I made about influencers and entrepreneurship, and they went into it. They were like, I started to burst your bubble here, but shameful that after interviewing 100 people, you can't see what entrepreneurship is about. Someone must have peeved the wrong way. Entrepreneurs are great. I just wanted to say that because it's not true. Your videos are usually great. This one sucks. This is why no one is watching it. Peace. And my first reaction was like, fuck this guy. My second reaction was, I had 4 reactions. Let's be real. My second reaction was, cool, man, thanks. My third one was, I actually said, I felt it, which is, I disagree, but thank you for letting me know. And my fourth one was, yeah, I want more people to disagree with me because I have believed for a long time being polarizing in your content is great. And I was polarizing. That was great. I was super proud of it. So, I'm sure the next comments are going to hurt too, but I'm okay with it.
I mean, I think polarizing content is like, polarizing and like controversial content is like, it pulls people in. Like, I don't think that person would have commented if they just had agreed with you, if that makes sense, right?
True. They would have liked it or not given a shit.
Yeah. So like more engagement. So keep on doing that.
Keep doing it. But I think if you are polarizing and you're not putting on an act, that is being honest to yourself. Yeah. And that is honestly core confidence, which is if you tried to go back to Tim Ferriss, right? That added to your confidence. If you said, even though it was the wrong person you was talking for 20 minutes, but being true to yourself, because we figured that out. I don't know who I am. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep figuring it out. But I think just listening to your instincts and going after that small thing, which is if I want to be polarizing, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be ashamed of that. I'm just going to say what I want, even if people say that's stupid and you're stupid. I think that builds your confidence over time.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's a perfect stopping point. Do you have anything that you want to like say? Anything you want to promote?
No, dude, this is amazing. Like we talked about you starting a podcast, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And you're like killing it. This is like season 1.
I had a great example set in front of me.
Flattery. Nice. Works really well. But we are doing a podcast festival in May. Outlier Podcast Festival, May 17th, 18th. And it's going to be 3 tracks. Storytelling in podcasting, creative in podcasting, and the biggest one, how to leverage content to build a business. We're going to have keynotes. We're trying to get the mayor on there. We're going to have 15 sessions, 5 keynotes. I'm going to be keynoting. I want you to be there. It's outliercs.com, and I hope to see you there. And you can use the coupon code Crushing It. I have to tell someone to do it for it. Yeah.
Okay, and like how much does it cost?
It is $50, but $41 if it's early bird, but I'll give you a bigger discount.
Oh, okay. And I get in for free, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right. That's a stopping point.
That's what you really want. Yeah, absolutely.